Welcome, week 2 of this routine. Let's take some time to settle into some breathing, please. Adjusting the posture, shins tucked, shoulders relaxed and down. Everything feels nice and lined up. Can start breathing in and out through my nose. One or two more breath cycles. Ourselves over to hands and knees. Gently extend one foot back, and this is just a gentle rocker, creating a little stretch through the heel, opening up the toes one foot at a time. Sending you a little congratulations for showing up to do a class. Thank you for that. And even when we have some things that are talking to us in the body, still good to show up, do workarounds, do lighter weights. I'm switching sides now, and then just rocking through my foot. Nice and gentle, trying to get into my toes. Everything is so connected, so just getting movement top to bottom, bottom to top. Okay, taking it into down dog. I'm going to take a moment just to circle my wrists and spread my fingers and connect my hands to the floor. Tuck my back toes and slowly bring the hips up, gently pulsing the weight back into the heels and then forward into the hands. Trying to keep centered in the shoulders and not collapsing into a shrug. Watch that you have a slight bend in the elbows. Your elbows are not locked out and your knees are not locked out. So softness to that knee position. Coming out of this, we'll go to sitting position and start to work the hips by letting the knees fall to one side and then taking them over to the other side. I'm pulling myself fairly upright, my hands behind. If I went quickly and just didn't find my end range, I feel like that's where I have to turn. But if I let myself just pause and let the knees fall a little further, then you might access a bit more range through the hips side to side. Continue with some nasal breathing. And then taking some time to position yourself on one side, about a 90-degree angle, and using your arms to support your weight as you gently sit forward. This gives you a stretch through the front hip. Little tricks you can do would be to push your leg down into the floor as you hinge forward. And that could elicit a bit deeper of a stretch response. And then also turning your torso to different angles, more towards this front foot, is going to be a little deeper into this hip. And then I'd like to come down to my elbow and position myself to work the internal rotation of this top back leg. You can also push down between the knee and the foot here. And when I push, definitely feel a change in the stretch response or the sensation here in the front. Want to try and keep the body still as you bring the foot up to the range that you can access. Good. And we'll go hands free over to the other side. Resting and then sitting into this hip. I can immediately tell you that this hip feels tighter than the other side. How about you? So save the best for the second side and just sit into this a little bit and breathe. Did you push down the first side? If so, here as well. And then taking some time to work the internal on this side. Priming the body for the movements ahead and just taking care of the integrity of our joints, hips. We're going to be moving to knee bends and ankle work next. So after you finish that side, I like to use one of these straps with the loop in it. Some people don't use a strap, some like a more stretchy band. Whatever you choose, just take some time to line up the posture. Non-working leg can be bent or straight. And then starting with checking the leg is straight and pulling the knee in for a stretch. And then fully extending to the place where you can't. Some people have to back off because they're quite tight here. So back off, extend the knee, don't lock out the kneecap. Spreading the toes. About 5 of these moves. And then taking some time to hold the leg in the extended position and focus just on the ankle, spreading the toes and checking that your leg is straight. Even just a subtle shift in the position of my leg, a little outward. When I bring it straight and start to do this, it feels quite a bit different. You can do some slow and fast moves in this program. So after you've done about 5 slow moves, pick it up and try to move a little faster. And then start the ankle rolls slow. And a little faster. And then how about some slow circles? That leg straight again. Fast circles are hard. Switch directions. Good. Motion is lotion. Let's switch sides. Set yourself up again and into the knee bends. And spreading toes. It's always one of my favorite parts of coaching classes because I know how important having good, healthy ankles, knees are for walking, longevity, walking speed, balance. So taking the time to work through these moves, although they're kind of slow and relatively easy, sets you up for a much better movement ahead, short term and long term. Slow and fast. Good. And then circles. Okay. Half kneeling is next. I'm going to go into first off half kneeling position and some hinges in this program. So from the half kneeling, I take the front foot out a little wider and you can pivot the back knee across the midline. You can keep your foot flat. It's a little easier on this knee, or you can tuck your toe if you wish. we're going to the down knee side. So when you hinge, you just basically want to aim your hand out from that down knee and then spread the fingers of both the top and the bottom hand. And I'm also in an anti-shrug position. So I'm not sort of hunched. I'm pulling my armpits kind of towards my hips, away from my ears. And this position allows you to get quite deep into your hip. You can also post your weight over your hand and then slowly turn your head and look down and look up. Don't move fast through the neck. It's nice and slow. Breathe. And then sit into the hip again. I like to take a little breath and then just coming up out of that hinge. That's good. Let's switch sides and do the same thing. The front foot wider, back foot pivoted, coming to the down knee side. Spread the fingers of both hands. Open up the hand. Get some rocks into the hip. Just gently looking up at this point, and then now I'm posting my weight over my hand. Check my shoulders are not shrugged. And I'm slowly turning, getting some rotation. And then slowly coming into that hinge again, and coming up. Now we'll switch sides, and I'm going to coach into the half kneeling bent press. So this is sort of similar. I'm going to take a ball to the up knee side and position my feet the same way. So front foot a little wider, back foot pivoted. Once you get the technique with the ball, we can start doing this with weight. So the first part of it is you just open the shoulder. So I've heard this called open the fridge door. And then that direction that you open, you just turn your upper body just a little bit in that direction. You have a choice here. Now, as you hinge, you can come to your hand and your arm goes up. Or if you feel like you can sit deep enough to come to your elbow, then you can come down to your elbow. Then you come with a breath of air up, keeping the arm overhead. Check for a moment that you're not losing the posture. So I might just tuck my hips under, really anchor in my shoulder and pull the ball back down to the chest. This is called the half kneeling bent press. And so even though it looks like I'm pressing the weight overhead, I'm bending underneath it. Take a breath, come up, and then pull down. We'll do one more, so a total of 3 per side. And this is a Strong First kettlebell move that I've learned through my certification with Strong First. I really like this move, but it can be a little bit like a brain gym kind of thing until you get it to be a bit more fluid. Wonderful way to connect the core, the shoulders, lots of things going on. So I switch knees, open the front foot, pivot the back foot, take the weight to the shoulder of the up knee side. Here's opening the fridge, turn just a little, and then either the hand, maybe the elbow, or somewhere in between is fine. I've coached a lot of clients where we've put some pillows here so you can just come to the elbow, but you don't have to get all the way down to the floor. So if it's not comfortable, stick with the high arm for now and then work with some pillows in the future. Perhaps next week I'll do that. I'll show the hinge with some pillows. I'm having so much fun doing this. I'm not really sure if I did 2 or 3, so I'll do one more. Who counts when they're having fun? All right, up we go. Okay, so you can see how much deep hip and shoulder work we're getting. Next up, we go bear, plank, a mountain climber, and a lower. So you know what this is if you followed last week's program. Here it is if you're new to this routine. First, a bear hold, spreading the fingers, finding neutral back. Breathe in and out. How long you hold it is somewhat individual. Stepping back into a high arm plank, connecting your hip muscles a little bit. When you're ready, mountain climber. Slowly take one foot off, bring the knee underneath your hip, extend it back out. Try to keep the shoulders and hips level. and then back to high arm plank, and slowly bringing yourself down to a lower. Now for the lower, you could put a pillow underneath your front side, or you could come to your knees. Shake out the wrists, and let's do that again, one more time. So if you want to make it harder, you hold for longer. Easier, you hold for less. Bear. Plank. Mountain climber. Slow lower. After this, oh, that looks great, everyone. We're going to a get up practice. If you know the full get up, go ahead and do the full get up. Today I'm going to work to the high bridge. And I'll take a ball in hand. Same arm up as knee that's bent. Opposite arm and leg out on an angle. And take some time to just adjust the posture through my head. I just tuck my chin, and I'm making sure that I'm not in a big arch. I'm just connecting my torso so I feel like my core box is activated. Roll into the elbow, up onto the hand, spreading the fingers. And here's my high bridge. I just have the hand and bent knee foot in a position that I feel stable to lift. You can count 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, and then slowly lower the hip back to the floor. Come back to your elbow and roll away back to the floor. Trying to be mindful that you're not in a shrug. Let's do that one more time on this side, then we'll switch. So I connected my posture. I push into this foot and I'm rolling up onto my elbow, hand, a little adjustment for the lift. And squeeze that ball if you have a ball in your top hand. Count to 3. Slowly come down, elbow, and rolling away to the floor. All right, switching sides. Even it out. And 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. A lot going on here. Stay out of the neck. Adjust that posture before you get going. Bringing yourself up. Centering the shoulder joint is important. So that's what I mean when I say don't go into a shrug. Pull yourself down slowly and work all of the muscles to return yourself to the floor. Next up is bridging. So we could go right to a double bridge with a band. If you haven't been bridging and you're new to this, then you just don't need a band. And you also don't need my next suggestion, which is the possibility of putting a weight over the crease of your hips. If you're trying to take it easy today, just go with perhaps body weight or the band. Here, for the double bridge, I set my feet wide enough that I have to work a little bit to push my knees out. And then I'm looking to adjust my posture again. You hear that a lot because you don't want to be doing exercises without some attention to your posture so that you don't hurt yourself. Okay, so there's a few double bridges without the weight. And then I'll put an option to put a weight across the crease of my hips. And as I bridge up, you can still have that tension pushing my knees out. I could even add a little pause at the top of the bridge, making sure posture is adjusted every time. 10 to 12 of these. If you need a little rest, you can always take a moment, let the knees float inward, reset. Starting to feel the work in through the hips. Take another short break and finish off with my mental dialogue is saying 3 more reps will get me right into a good sort of sweet spot. All right, we're going to keep the band on and come to standing to try and do some dynamic hip strengthening work with the band on. I'm going to be in a slight hinge position and tap my foot back on a 45-degree. I'll go with some reciprocal arms. And I'm going to try for 6 on a 45-degree and then 6 in a reverse pattern today. Things to be thinking of. As you step, watch that you're not losing the connection of your knee and your base foot. So you've got to work hard to keep the knees wide. The toes of the base foot are nice and connected. Here's my reverse. As I go back and tap my toe down, I'm thinking about tightening up my whole hip in that position. Switching sides after your first set of 6 and 6. 45-degree. Open foot. Kicking straight back. I've been showing this set with touching my toe every time. If you wanted to make it harder, you could try to do this as a balance. I'll go through this again in a moment. So taking the feet to a squat position with hip width or wider, toes straight or turned out. Try some squats where you're taking some time to push the knees out. Pull your torso down to a depth you can control. Make sure this feels okay on the back. So as you come down, you're not going into a flexed forward or an extended position. I'm breathing in as I come down. Exhale up, get nice and tall. Now in this program, I did do the balance reaches with the band on, and so it makes it harder, a bit more risk with it. So you could take it over to a piece of furniture as a target. If you feel confident in your balance with the band on, you could just do the reach forward with the arms, back with the leg, 3 to 5 per side. I'm going to stay on one side. The band is limiting the amount I can hinge and reach, but that's okay because I'm getting some extra work. So just changing the move slightly and then coming all the way back up to posture. Switching. Nice. We'll do a second set of the taps. It's the 2-way, so on a 45-degree and reverse. And here's the tap in the air. So I'm not actually tapping my toe down. Both are good exercises, but if you can't control what's going on very good in your front foot with the air, then you're better to put the toe down and get some practice, some control over what you're doing. Six, and then straight back. Six, good. Switching sides. Sometimes getting the arms going is the hardest part. Okay, and after this, I'm going to pop us back down to the floor for one more set of bridges with the option of the weight, keeping the band on, and then we'll move on. Good. Okay, so careful to get down to the floor. Double bridge setup. Option to put the weight across, gently holding onto it. Feet wide enough that you can work out into the band as You then lift up, activating your hip muscles. What about that chin and low back? Have you adjusted posture? You don't want to come up with a big arch so that you're putting pressure into your low back. Some of us have to make that posture adjustment every time. Starting to feel some good feeling of work through my hips. Whew, I think I need a little rest. Knees come in. What's your inner dialogue saying? I want to make sure that it's not too easy and not too hard. Okay, so we'll come out of this set and go back to standing reverse lunge with the weight on the moving leg side. So what that looks like is taking a weight, a dumbbell or a kettlebell. You can have it at the shoulder. And here's my moving leg side. So the weight is in the right hand and I'm stepping back with the right leg. Depending on how this move feels, you anchor your back toes, you just dip down to a depth you can control, and then you power yourself back up. I'll show you from the side. Step back, drop, come back up. Now, depending on the condition of your knees, you can go forward a little into this front knee, or you can stay more upright. Just listen to the body and try different depths and different angles to challenge yourself. Okay, and then after 6, I'm going to switch the weight over to the other side. Back. Back toes bent. See how I'm trying to step back nice and straight. If you have trouble with this, doing some of these in front of a mirror can help your body learn and improve. Nicely done. Second exercise is the anchored row in a hinge position. I'm going to use my fireplace. It could be a wall or a piece of furniture. Setting myself up for a slight hinge, and then now I'm rowing, keeping my back nice and long. Elbow to the side, squeezing the shoulder blade and the shoulder complex. Shoulder blade towards the spine and away from your ears. 6 to 10 reps. Modify based on how difficult that feels. Ooh, nice angles. Switching sides, setting yourself up. Go. Okay, next up, push-up variations. Some folks are going to choose a push-up variation on the wall, and some come to the floor with the option of putting a cushion down. Have kind of a fun story, because there's a lady I've been training for quite a few years, and she's been doing variations of planks for all those years. So here's a variation of a plank lower to build a push-up. And getting stronger, you know, she can do kind of mini push-ups from the knees and like this kind of thing, which I'm a so-so fan of. I prefer to try and work on the lowers. But my fun story is that this earlier in the week, she just spontaneously did 2 push-ups from the floor. I didn't even ask her to do it. She just did it. And she's like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And I was like, so happy. Next up, we're going to lateral bend, 6 to 8. You can hold 1 weight or 2 weights for this. And I think what makes the story even sweeter is that she's going to be 80 in January. So It's taken a few years and she's never been able to do a push-up, but she did too. So now that she has that, it's never going away. As I bend to the side, I'm getting some shortening on the side waist and lengthening on the other. Be mindful of how this feels. You can certainly add breath. Inhaling and then exhaling as you bend might allow you to sink into it just a bit more. Conversely, you could try inhaling as you bend and exhaling as you come back up. I don't think we have to really work a specific breath pattern, but keep breathing would be my cueing. It's interesting to try and come back up to find your centered position and not overcompensate, right? Finding that lean and then working to come back up to neutral. We're going to run through this set one more time, so feel free to grab some water. It started with the reverse lunge, weight at the shoulder and stepping back. This is where you might say to yourself, feeling good, want to keep with the same weight or maybe go heavier. Or perhaps you just need to do this with a light weight or a ball in hand. Aiming for 6 per side. Form looks great. Left. Into the row next. Good. Anchoring yourself on a wall or a piece of furniture. 6 to 10 repetitions. Check that your back feels okay. And just teeter the back. If you had a big curve in your back, maybe you just want to tuck your hips under a little. Breathe. Good. Switching sides. Reconnect that position. Pushing the hand into a piece of furniture. You might feel a bit more activated through your whole body, through your core. Push-ups. You got it. Push-ups and lateral bend. If you're ahead of me, showed the lowers last time. Here's a full push-up. Here's a mini push-up. A full lower to the floor. You can bend the knees and come up. Building up your strength in that practice. Very nice job. All right, then one more set of these side bends. It is harder to do a side bend with the weight on one side. So if you're like feeling not too sure, or you're really new to this, then have an equal weight in both hands and just start to explore how we strengthen that side waist, part of our core box. Opening up my toes, making sure my knees aren't locked out. Wonderful. I'm going to take us through a shoulder series next. It's using light weights, 1 or 2 pounds, or balls, or just your fist. First, starting with your elbows bent into external rotation. Yeah, good choice. You want to go as light as you can, making sure that the body feels okay with this. Things to watch for. As you open, that you're not extending your back or flaring your rib cage. So float over your feet, slight bend in your knees, get your shoulders fully rotated out and in. Second exercise, I'm going to turn my palms facing in and bring my elbows up to 90 degrees. Kind of working this up phase without a shrug, and then working the down phase by sort of feeling like I'm pulling through some sand. Even though the weights are light, you can create a lot of activation and tension through this mindset. Pulling the elbows out, let's try some external rotation this way. This would definitely be the hardest move, and you can let the hands and shoulders fall into internal rotation, but be mindful you don't go up into a shrug. So you got to see if you can go down and external and internal, just where it's comfortable. As said, that one's the hardest. Elbows to the side, reaching overhead. Think of that top of the shoulder, not shrugging, and then pull through the sand all the way down. That full range of motion. Nice deep breathing. Priming our shoulders and keeping them healthy. One-sided deadlift in this program. So I'm going to take a weight that I can lift on one side, which is harder than doing a two-handed deadlift. So if you're new to this, you could stick with both hands on the weight or dumbbells, or you take one. So here's my one-sided, squaring up my shoulders, set my posture, and lift on one side. I don't have to lower all the way to the floor, but I could. So you're just going on one side. And this is harder to control because your body's trying not to bend into the weight. About 5 of these. Tall. Anchor in the shoulder at the top of the position. Take that breath. Lower. And as you stand tall, don't forget to tighten up both your hip muscles. Shape. Up. Down. Keeping square. Square as possible. That looks great. A very functional exercise. Overhead press, going for up to 5 per side. Now we've warmed up the shoulders. What weight do you feel you can comfortably get into an overhead press just from standing position? And still use those same cues. Pulling down through some sand and being mindful you're not arching back or to the side. Neck through your feet, push and pull. Good. Aiming for about 5, could be a few more if it felt like 5 was too easy for the weight that you're working with. Feel that smile coming on every week. Wait for it. All right, and then let's do these 2 again. So one-sided deadlift and the overhead press. So here's a weight that I have to be very focused with. I don't want to hurt myself, right? You don't want to twist or rotate through your back. Back, breath in, Own that lift. You don't have to go all the way to the floor. You could come to the knee or just below the knee and come back up. But you could. Feel free to take a break between sides. Set yourself up. Even out the reps. Good. And then into the overhead press. And a lot of the exercises that I started with today, I used my pink kettlebell, which is 15 pounds. And sometimes I get asked this question, like, well, should I be using the same weight for all my exercises? But depending on your history, especially with the neck and shoulders, you don't want to be using a weight. This is generally harder for us unless we've trained a long time and we feel like our upper body is really dialed in. You want to make sure that you're not triggering any of the kind of accessory tension holding muscles when you press overhead. So it's the answer to what I'm trying to explain is you may be finding that you need to go a lot lighter overhead until you get the movement pattern and the strength built up over time. We've all got our own histories, and with computers and texting, car accidents, whiplash, falls, etc., we often take a lot of that injury up in this area. Oh, did I mention stress? It's very common to hold stress in through the neck and shoulders. So be kind to yourself. Make sure you're not pressing weight overhead that doesn't feel good. I'm just finished today with 1, 2, 3 balance and a little bit of curtsy. So we'll go for about half a minute of each. On the 1, 2, 3 balance, you want to take yourself into a different angle, like you were going to be walking and then you tripped and your foot had to come out. You had to quickly get that foot out to the side, or maybe it had to go a little bit back, maybe forward. Every third step, take a moment and make sure you're balanced. If you want to make this harder, you could blink or close your eyes briefly when you get that balanced position, and then open them to do your switch. I've also done this with some light dumbbells in hand. Okay, taking yourself through one more rep, and then let's finish with stretching the hips through some light curtsies. So I'm just going into stepping across, pulling myself down, back up. Would be okay to load this if you wanted to. I'm going to just keep it body weight and stretch the hips, keeping the body fairly square to the wall in front of you. Well, I want to thank you for growing a stronger version of yourself with me today.